You've just tuned in to Steamy Stories with Alura D. Welcome, everyone. This is your host and love narrator, Alura D. So, guys, I have some steamy stories for you tonight. And the name of this steamy story is Deep Down Sex and the Dirty South. Have you guys ever had Southern sex? Yeah, there's a thing. It's called Deep Dirty Southern Sex. So this story is coming from a girl named Kelsey. So Kelsey sent in a letter of her steamy stories, and we're gonna dive right into it. So Kelsey's steamy story takes place in the bayou. So Kelly was in the bayou with her friends enjoying a trip, and Kelsey actually is her name. Kelsey was at the bar when she noticed a gentleman looking at her and giving her the eye. She played coy. She looked at over him. He looked back out over her, and she turned her head. The bartender approached Kelsey, and the bartender said, "This gentleman wants to send you a drink. Do you accept?" Kelsey accepted the drink with no hesitation because she was enjoying the sight that she seen. He looked like a golden god. His skin was brown. His muscular body was fit. His lips looked like they dripped honey. And she knew she definitely wanted to take a taste of that apple tree. So the gentleman came over to Kelsey and they sat down and had a talk. They had some slight pleasantries. They talked a little bit about where they were from and the things that they enjoyed. By the third drink, Kelsey already knew what her intentions were. She knew she did not want to wait to climb that tall brown tree. So Kelsey told him, "I would have loved to take you home tonight." He laughed and he said, "My dear, go forward. I love it. But you will not take me home tonight." And so Kelsey was perplexed because she didn't understand. Was she not attractive? Did he not desire her? But his response was golden. He said, "I'm going to take you on a 7-day fantasy ride." Kelsey had to grip her legs tight because the fantasy ride sounded like the ride of her life. And that's just the type of ride she was looking for. So they exchanged numbers. The gentleman called Kelsey the next day. He told her, "Get dressed. I'll be to pick you up." Kelsey got dressed. She was so excited. But before Kelsey could even get her clothes on, just the thought of that golden god excited her. So Kelsey had to rip out her rose. Kelsey whipped out her rose vibrator. She slowly added it to her vagina, which was pulsating and leaking because just the thought of that golden god turned her on. Kelsey got there not once, but twice. She had to prepare herself so that she could be on her best behavior with the golden god that she met from the other night. So after Kelsey touched herself a little bit more and she moaned and she moaned until she got there. She was ready to clean herself up. And so she took a little bit of her love nectar and she rubbed it behind her ear and some on her neck because Kelsey knew that those pheromones from her love nectar was going to be hard to resist. So the gentleman rang Kelsey's doorbell She jumped up with the quickness, and she did not have time to freshen up. Kelsey just said, "Forget it. I'm gonna let him smell me with all my nature." So the gentleman waited at the door. Kelsey came downstairs. He greeted her with a bouquet of roses and kissed her softly on the cheek. And he said, "This is day one." Kelsey was so excited. She wanted to know what they were going to be doing. But he told her, "The best surprises are the ones you have no clue about. You could never guess." So he opened the door for Kelsey. She got in. So as they rode across the bridge with the wind blowing in her hair, Kelsey gripped onto his stick shift and she grabbed it tight. And again, she had to clutch her legs tight together because even though Kelsey had pleased herself, she was ready to get back at it again. So they reached their destination. He took her to this park. The park was so beautiful. When they walked over to the lake, he had already had a picnic set up and waiting for her. The part where they were at was so secluded. It had beautiful trees, beautiful flowers around. So they sat down and he began to feed Kelsey. He took out a strawberry from the stem. The strawberry still had the stems on it. And he dipped it into honey. And he caressed it across Kelsey's lips. After he caressed it across her lips, he took a bite of the strawberry. And then he leaned in and he licked the honey from her lips. That sent Kelsey into a frenzy. She didn't know how to act. This was not something she was used to. So she kept her composure. And he took another strawberry and he dipped it in whipped cream. And he placed it upon his lips. And he leaned his head back. Kelsey came close because she knew exactly what he wanted her to do. Kelsey came in and she took her tongue and she licked him across his lips so slow and gently. And after she had all the whipped cream off, she kissed him so softly. By this time, Kelsey definitely could not contain herself. So she went in to shadow him. He told her, "No, my dear, it's not time for that yet." So they popped a little bit of bubbly. And he sat there and told Kelsey how beautiful she was. And he told her, "I want your mind. I don't just want your body." Oh, this is definitely something Kelsey was not ready for. So he told her, "But on top of wanting your mind, I desire your body even more." He told Kelsey, "Unfasten your shirt." With no hesitation, Kelsey started unbuttoning her shirt one by one, top button unloosed. She was thinking to herself, "Let me not move too fast. I don't want him to think I'm desperate." But fuck it, I'm definitely desperate. She unfastened the second button, and all she could think about was taking and licking him across his neck. Mmm. Kelsey loves to use her tongue. That's all she could think about. By the time she got to the third button, she couldn't even reach the fourth button. He was already clutching her bosoms in his hands. And he had that second strawberry that he bit off of with honey on it again. He placed the honey on her nipples. Kelsey's thinking, "Oh my goodness, we're in the middle of the park. We could be arrested." But at that point, he had her mind in a grip that she didn't care. Kelsey leaned back a little bit further to let him grip her bosom even more. He rubbed the honey on her nipples. Kelsey sat back, and all that she could think about was all the things that she wanted him to do to her. So he came in slowly, and he blew on her nipples. Kelsey loved it. And then he came closer, and he breathed so gently, but so forceful at the same time on her nipples before he took and cupped her breasts and added his tongue round and round on her nipple, suckling her so gently, so soft. And as he cuffed her bosom in his mouth, he nibbled a little bit on her nipple. It sent Kelsey into a for sure frenzy, because Kelsey's favorite thing was to have her nipples bit. He grasped her other breast, added whipped cream to it, and he brought both bosoms together, putting both nipples in his mouth at the same time. Kelsey did not know how to contain herself anymore. Kelsey was gripping the cover. All she could think about was, who's watching? But forget it. I don't care. I need this. I want this. And then he stopped, suddenly, but abruptly. And he told her, "You're the most amazing woman that I've ever met." And he slowly started buttoning her shirt back together. Kelsey was so puzzled, because here it is. She's out in the middle of the park, risking it all for a gentleman that she just met the other day. So they packed up the picnic. He drove her back home. Kelsey's so puzzled. Why would he take me out here to do all of this? Is this a game for him? I don't understand. But Kelsey thought, well, if it's a game, it's one I'm enjoying. And I'm definitely going to be the winner at the end. Why not enjoy the ride? He dropped Kelsey off. Kelsey went into the house. She laid across her bed. She could not believe what she just did. Kelsey called her girlfriend, and she told her girlfriend everything. And they did not believe her. They said, "You did not." She says, "Yes, I did." And he was so gentle. And all she could think about was him doing it again. Kelsey hung up with her friends, and she was waiting for this gentleman to call. And he didn't call. And she was worried. She says, "Is he not into me?" Huh. All Kelsey could do was think about that encounter. So Kelsey grabbed her vibrator, and she slowly spread her legs across her bed, and she slid her shorts that she was wearing to the slide. And she slowly inserted the vibrator into her. The humming sound started very low, and then it got intense, because the more she thought about how he handled her, how he took her bosoms into his mouth in the middle of the park, all she could think about is how badly she wanted him in her. So Kelsey moved the vibrator up and down, round and round, until she climaxed. Oh, oh. Kelsey definitely reached her peak. It was a great feeling. And next thing you know, she dozed off. Kelsey woke up the next day to a text message from this gentleman. He told her, "Be ready by noon, and make sure you wear something that leaves no imagination." Kelsey was so excited because he messaged her again, and she was for sure this was a dream. She didn't think this guy would call her again, but she followed instructions. She got ready, and guess what? He showed up to Kelsey's place, but this time they weren't going on a date. He had groceries in tow. So Kelsey's standing there at the door, and she has on the skimpiest outfit that she could think about. She had on some boy shorts, a netted tank top without pasties. She was leaving nothing to the imagination. He said, "My dear, we're not leaving today. I want to prepare a meal for you." He said, "I'm going to be your chef, and you're going to be my patron." He came into her kitchen. He started to unpack the groceries. He told her, "Sit at the island." So as he prepped the food, Kelsey watched him, and she couldn't do anything but think about how badly she wanted him to enter her. Why is he toying with me? Just take me here right now on this countertop. Kelsey wanted nothing more but for him to give her his nice hard wood. But she knew she had to play along because this was the type of man who was an alpha. He was definitely a leader, definitely dominant. That's not something Kelsey was used to. So Kelsey wanted everything that he had to offer. So as he's preparing this meal for her, he takes off his shirt. He takes it off so slow, so sensual. Kelsey don't know what to do. She's sweating, her vagina's dripping, and she's just ready to pounce like a hyena in a wild. And she knows she has to contain herself, right? Oh my goodness, she says. Look at his muscles. His brown skin is glistening like honey butter. He looks so golden, like the sun is radiating glitter right off his body. So as he prepares this meal for her, he turns around and he says, "Take off your shirt." Kelsey's puzzled. "Huh? Take off your shirt. I only give commands once." Kelsey takes off her shirt with the quickness because you ain't got to tell me twice. So she's sitting there and her perky breasts just sitting upright, her nipples erected. And he comes over and he brings this meal that he prepared for her, which was salmon over a bed, a sauteed spinach with a creamy mushroom sauce and a risotto rice. And he comes over and he feeds her. And she says, "Where's your food?" He says, "Baby, you are my food." Kelsey grips the counter so hard. She was caught off guard by that comment because is he for real? Is he serious? Am I going to be his dinner tonight? She says, "Never mind. Let me not think about this. Act normal, bitch. Act normal." So as she takes a bite of the salmon, all she could think about how flavorful it was. It was crispy. It had the right balance of seasoning. It was juicy. The risotto was cooked to perfection. The mushroom sauce tasted amazing, not too thick. It was just the way she liked it. And she wondered, how does this man know my favorite meal? Is someone playing a prank on me? So by the time she was done with her meal, he was prepping dessert. As he's cutting up the strawberries for the strawberry shortcake that he was preparing for her, he says in a strong voice, "Take off your shorts." With no hesitation this time, Kelsey jumps up and she takes off her shorts. And she sits back down at the stool. He comes over to her and he feeds her this strawberry shortcake that he had took time to prepare. She bit into the cake. Oh my goodness, it's so moist. I must be in heaven. How is this perfect specimen here in my kitchen preparing this meal for me? At this point, she's totally perplexed because how? So as she finished up her cake, he tells her, "Stand up." She stands up. And she steps towards him. He says, I did not tell you to move. She stopped suddenly in her tracks because he didn't tell her to move. He lifted her up so swiftly onto the countertop. He bent her legs and he kissed her on her belly button. And then he went down slower, slower, until he got to her vagina. And then he kissed her on her vagina. One peck, two peck, before he got to her clitoris. And he slowly took his large tongue and he licked her on her clitoris. Up and down, up and down. She can't believe what's happening. Is this man eating me on my kitchen countertop? This can't be for real. This can't be for real. She puts these thoughts to the side because by this time, he has her toes curled up and she doesn't know how to contain herself. She's trying to hold off from climaxing, but the way he's eating her, she doesn't know what to do. She's so confused. And she says, no, I'm going to enjoy this moment. I've never had this before. The moment she let all the thoughts flow from her brain, she reached climax. It was the highest climax she ever had. She felt like she was having a seizure. Her body started shaking. Oh my goodness, oh my goodness, oh my goodness. Oh, she's reached her peak. Now she's ready. She's ready for him to answer her. But he gets up and he helps her off the table. Get dressed. And then he kisses her. And he packs up his things. And he leaves. Kelsey's at this point even more confused because, what are you doing, sir? In the next few days was like a whirlwind. He came with gifts. He came, cooked meals, but there was no intimacy. And Kelsey was so perplexed. How did we get here so fast? Why won't he sleep with me? I want him so bad. Day 7. He popped up to her place. Kelsey answered the door and she was shocked to see him. He said, are you ready? She says, ready for what? On that roller coaster ride that I promised you. She says, you're damn straight. So they go on this ride. It was so magical. And on this day, it was particularly human. And she says, oh my goodness, it's so hot out here. And he takes her to his house. When they pull up to his house, she's so shocked because his house is so beautiful. He has a ranch-style house, all of his property, and he has a pond of his own in the backyard. But all Kelsey could think about was how hot it was. So he took her into his home. He fed her, of course. They sat there, they talked, and then he came to her and he kissed her on her forehead. He moved from her forehead to her nose, from her nose to her cheek, from her cheek to her neck. At this point, Kelsey was already in the process of taking her shirt off. The once gentle guy that Kelsey was so used to was ripping her shirt off just as fast as she was trying to get it off. At this time, he grabs her, he picks her up, and he lifts her up. And he carries her outside. And he places her on a hammock that he has outside. And he begins to lick her up and down again, up and down again. He takes her off the hammock. He lifts her up again, straddling her over his head. putting her vagina into his mouth once again. Kelsey can't believe this. This is the most she's ever felt like a woman. She has never sexually been pleased in this way before. But all she could think about was how humid it was. My goodness, it's so hot. Put this out your mind. So he takes her again, he moves her to a different location. So now they're outside in the yard. And she lays her head down on the soft grass. And by this time, she has nothing on. I don't want to lay on this grass. But by the time he laid her down, the grass felt like she was laying on a bed of feathers. Because he had her legs up again, toes pointed to the sky. And he kisses her on her thigh. And he moves down further. And he takes his shirt off. And she's like, oh my goodness. Is today the day? Is this the day he's going to enter me? And he kisses her again. He has her thighs wrapped around his head. He's kissing her left thigh, her right thigh, moving up and down. Now he's unbuckling his pants. Now his pants is off. And he takes her and he pulls her closer to him, and she starts moaning. She's getting nervous. Her hands are clammy. Is this the humidity or am I nervous? She looked down and she seen what he was packing. And she was so nervous because she was not sure she was ready for that. He tells her, don't worry, my dear, I'll be gentle. He enters her softly, slowly, being gentle with her. But just enough where she clutches the grass and she moans, oh, oh. The width and the girth of his penis. Her nervous because it was the biggest she's ever had. And he slowly enters her. And out. And out. Oh. Kelsey's grabbing onto his back. She's scratching his skin. This golden god is entering her in a way she has never been entered before. Kelsey wasn't sure what to do. He takes her, he flips her over. He arches her back. My goodness, this is the deepest my back has ever been arched. And he slides in. And he pulls her tiny frame closer to him. And in and out. Doing her in doggy style. She's enjoying it. And all she could think about was how hot it was, sweating. But she didn't even care about being in the AC. Because that deep southern sex had her hot and bothered. She climaxed. He felt her climax on her. He flipped her over again. He starts kissing on her again. He enters her again. He's pushing it harder and harder and harder. He's stroking her deep. One. Oh, one. Again. She reaches her second climax. She's so confused because he has never came back to back. Not from a man entering her. And then she reaches her climax again. No, this was the third time. Kelsey tells him, let me assume the position. Kelsey assumes the position. Kelsey knows at this time, it's time for her to put in work. So while he got her in dogward down, yes, she's throwing it back. She's throwing it back. Harder and harder and harder. He can't contain himself. He's so confused. This shy girl. Oh my goodness. He reaches his climax. Kelsey reaches her climax too. They both lay down in a pasture next to them. He says, "You're the most amazing woman I've ever met." And she tells him, "I've never met anyone like you. I've never had this type of experience." He said, "I know. This is what you call that deep down bayou sex. Deep, sweaty South sex." Kelsey was so in shock. She knew right there and there. She didn't want anyone else. So after their deed was done, he told her, "You know you're mine." She said, "You were mine for the first drink that you sent me." There you have it, guys. Kelsey went to the bayou and Kelsey found what that good southern sex was like. Yes. Kelsey, thank you for that story. That story was amazing. It was hot. It was on fire. Remember, guys, if you have any steamy stories that you want to send me, head over to my Facebook page at Alura D. That's Alura Dannon Dannin Cain Cain, and hit that follow button on Facebook and drop me a message in my inbox. That way your story can be aired here on this station, Steamy Stories with Alura D. Thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate you guys. And make sure you guys come ready. You come with a towel and you come with a bottle of lotion because these steamy stories will have you ready to get hot and bothered. It's your girl, Alura D. And this has been Steamy Stories with Alura D. And we're out. Until next